Welcome back to Cord Cutting. Today we're diving in today to some big stories, including Comcast's efforts to dominate the world of free streaming. Nexstar says, hey, we're making some progress with the talks with DirecTV. No deal yet, but maybe there's some hope for your locals return to DirecTV, DirecTV Stream, and Uverse TV. And the National Association of Broadcasters joins the fight to turn live TV streaming services into cable companies. We'll take a look at everything that's been announced and that you need to know, and a whole lot more here coming up. If you want to learn more about everything I talk about, check out the show notes, and in the first pinned comment, I'll put a link to each story there so you can read about them for yourself and let us know what you think. I'd love to hear from you. If you're new here, do me a big favor, hit that subscribe button, hit that thumbs up, let YouTube know you enjoy what we do here. It really does help us, and hopefully we can help you break free from the high cost of cable TV and still watch the shows you enjoy. So with that said, let's dive into it. Comcast now offers, through its joint partnership with Spectrum, Xumo streaming service, over 850 live channels. These are the live channels you see on many popular streaming services out there, whole host of them out there that they manage. Now, its Xumo Play doesn't offer all 850. They license a lot of these out. A lot of services nowadays you see popping up offering free ad-supported content is getting that content from Xumo Play, which is owned by Comcast. Now, Comcast bought Xumo quite a few years ago. They contributed to a joint partnership with Spectrum Cable recently, and it's part of their plan to dominate the free streaming world. One of the few areas in cord cutting that's seeing explosive growth right now is free ad-supported services. Tubi, Crackle, Pluto TV, and more are all offering free ad-supported content, including live channels. And Comcast is supplying many of those companies with their channels to make it content there. It's part of their plan to take on cord cutting. How are they going to fight cord cutting? How are they going to stop cord cutting? Well, they want to say, hey, well, ads are a big thing. If everybody wants to watch free ad-supported content, let's be the big broker, the one that's supplying all the content and getting a cut of ads and all that. We'll see how it plays out, but there's over 850 channels just from Comcast as a part of that deal. All right, next up, for months now, Nexstar owned locals, the largest owner of ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox, and more locals, have had their locals dark on DirecTV. This includes DirecTV Stream, DirecTV, and DirecTV's Uverse TV service, along with their satellite service. Now, Nexstar CEO, or former CEO, and now advisor to the company, says that they're making some progress. At the start of these talks, they were unable to really make any progress. They're now having talks, and hopefully soon that means that DirecTV locals that have been missing will return thanks to a deal with Nexstar. While both sides acknowledge talks are happening, this doesn't necessarily mean that we're going to reach a deal. We'll see. Last we've heard that both sides seem very far apart, but I will say they've toned down the war of words. A few weeks ago, there were regular statements dueling out in public, complaints to the FCC, and more. Now it seems that those public talks have quieted. That's usually a good sign that something behind the scenes are working when the companies stop publicly complaining so much. We'll see what happens here, but we're going to keep a very close eye on this. What's happening with DirecTV and Nexstar? All right, the National Association of Broadcasters came out yesterday, from when I'm recording this, 2 days ago from when you're watching this, in support of efforts by the FCC to reclassify streaming services as cable TV companies. Local TV station owners, including Nexstar, have come out and created a coalition to ask the FCC to reclassify cable TV companies or streaming services as cable TV companies, including YouTube TV, Hulu, Fubo, and more. Now, Fubo and others have joined a new coalition to push back on this. But yesterday, or I should say Wednesday, I'm recording this late last night from when this is posted, there was a hearing in Congress to look at this to see if they should support or oppose any attempts by the FCC to do this. The National Association of Broadcasters was one of the speakers, and no surprising since they represent local stations. They came out in support of reclassifying streaming services as cable TV companies, which would give FCC more control over them and force cable streaming services to abide by the same rules cable TV companies do, meaning they will need to negotiate directly with each company out there. Instead of striking one big deal with Paramount for all the CBSs, they'll have to go to each individual local CBS owner and strike a deal. We'll see how this plays out. No surprise that they would support it, but it's one more step here. Now, though, that Congress has started some hearings, it's going to be a slow, long process. We're probably a long ways from seeing any development here with the National Association of Broadcasters and more joining this effort. But I hope this doesn't happen. I think this would be bad for streaming. Already, most locals are on streaming services where we're seeing Comcast, DirecTV, Dish, and recently Spectrum, all with blackouts affecting locals. Just force them to play by cable rules, I don't think will necessarily mean that there'll be more access. I actually think it may be less because we may see more blackouts as contract fights happen. We'll see what happens. We'll see if the FCC sides with streaming services and keeps it as is, or if it changes the rules and forces streaming services to become cable TV companies. Speaking of Nexstar at the same conference has come out and said that they're open to buying Disney-owned ABCs. Earlier this year, Bob Iger, the CEO of Disney, said that they are considering selling some assets that they think aren't needed in the company or aren't core to the company. Many are pointing to their local ABC affiliates. Now, ABC is a big broadcast company. They sell basically rights for other companies to air ABC programming on their local channels. Disney owns about 6, I think, major market ABCs, and there's rumors that they may be willing to sell those, and Nexstar apparently is very interested. Nexstar says they don't think there'll be any regulatory issues because they don't really have competing stations in those markets and can stay under the FCC's ownership cap in those markets, even buying the Disney-owned ABCs. Disney would still own ABC parent companies, still produce the ABC content, but their handful of local stations they actually own would be sold with this deal. We'll keep an eye on it. Nexstar is the largest owner, and they seem to be wanting to get bigger. All right. With this, next up, big deal next week. There's a big Amazon device event happening. It's expected that new Fire TVs will be announced. And with that, Amazon has their Fire TV Stick 4K and Fire TV Stick Max, and even the Cube on sale. But the Fire TV Stick 4K and Fire TV Stick Max have been on sale for quite some time. If you want to find those deals, link in the show notes. Raising the question, is Amazon trying to clear out stock ahead of a big announcement of new devices? I'll keep a close eye on this, but it would not surprise me at all. We do know that some Fire TV devices cleared the FCC recently, and we suspect that those could be a high end and low end. Makes sense that Fire TV Max and Fire TV Stick 4K would be the high end and low end of that, and that we could be getting new Fire TV sticks as soon as next week. We'll have full coverage over at Core Cars News when that happens. All right, the growth of 5G home internet is continuing to happen, and Verizon CEO has said that he expects Verizon to reach 4 to 5 million 5G home internet customers by the end of 2025. This comes as traditional broadband home internet services has slowed their growth, the cable, the fiber, and more, but we're seeing 5G and other ones see explosive growth with it. We'll keep a very close eye on this, but I suspect that we're going to see strong growth of 5G home internet going forward. 5 million though, just on Verizon? Possible, a little aggressive? We'll see. Get your bets in now. And lastly, big story of the day, C-SPAN is launching a streaming service, but it's only going to be for cable subscribers. C-SPAN is launching a streaming service here that will be available later in October of this year. But you'll need to be at first a Comcast customer to get access to it. And then from there, they hope to roll out access to other cable providers. This streaming service will offer additional live streams, on-demand content, and more through connected devices like Roku's, Fire TVs, and more. I really wish they would bring this out to everybody, make this an ad-supported one. But remember, C-SPAN is a joint effort with cable companies, and most hearings nowadays are increasingly being streamed on YouTube. Instead of relying on C-SPAN, if you want this content, you may want to look at YouTube because a lot of this content is on YouTube.com now, streaming from official government accounts, where in the past this was like C-SPAN was the only way to do it. I do think, somebody correct me, do they still offer the audio content for free, the audio feeds of these channels? Leave me a comment, let me know. Well, that's it for today. I hope you have a fantastic day. Take care. Have a fantastic weekend. I'll be back again on Monday, back in the studio. Have a fantastic day, everybody.